Yeah, hi there. In this tutorial, we are going to cover static methods. So static methods are the methods which do not pass either instance or class as a parameter to the method. So if you remember in the instance methods, the first parameter that is passed is self, which represents the instance corresponding to which method is called. Similarly, in the class method, the first parameter that is passed represents CLS, which represents the class. Now, static methods are different from instance and class methods in a sense that the static methods deal only with the parameters that are passed to it. No instance or class parameter is passed to the static methods. These are just like any normal functions, but they happen to be within the class because they are in some way related to the class. So we'll take an example. So we have a employee class. Again, the init method which initializes the first name, last name, and salary of employee. Then we have instance method full name, which returns the full name, that is first name and last name concatenated with a single space. Okay, so that represents the full name of employee. Now we are creating a static method. So how do we specify a static method? Just like the class method, we have to use a decorator to specify a method as a static method. So the decorator we use is @static method, and then we have to give the definition of this static method. So the method name is underscore weekend. So what we are passing to this method is a date, and we want to check whether the date on which whether this particular date falls on a weekend or not. So there is a function which is called as weekday, which returns uh, 0 to 6. So 0 represents Monday, 1 represents Tuesday, and so on, and 5 or 6 represents Saturday and Sunday. So using this function dot weekday, we are we are determining whether the weekday, whether the weekday of the date is 5 or 6, that is Saturday or Sunday. If that is the case, that means it's a weekend, then we are returning true. Otherwise, we are returning false. So, so the purpose of this function, that is this static method, is a date will be passed to it, and it will return true or false depending upon whether that particular date is a weekend or not. Okay. Now, since we are dealing with dates, so we have to import one a module called date time. So I'm importing import date time module. Okay. Now creating an employee object E5. So just passing to it the first name, last name, and the salary. And I'm just creating three objects today. Today is created using date times dot date. So this date is a class which is defined in the datetime module, and today is a method within this date class. So datetime dot date dot today, it will represents the today's date. And yesterday, how do we get a yesterday? So basically in this today, if I add so today we have already created here. So in this today, if I add a delta of -1 day, then it will create yesterday. So I'm just adding datetime dot time delta, which is another class in datetime, and I'm passing to it day is equals to -1. So basically it's a delta of -1 day, so it goes to yesterday. And similarly, day before yesterday is a delta of -1 to yesterday. So in this way, we are getting three dates, and I'm storing these three dates, today, yesterday, and day before yesterday, in a list, and this list name is worked on. So basically, this employee, if I worked on 3 days, uh, today, yesterday, and day before yesterday, and I want to check which of these days were actually weekend or not. So since these are in a list, so I have to use a loop to iterate over this list, and using each day I'll check whether whether this day on which the employee worked belongs to weekend or not. So for day in worked on, which is a list, so e5 dot full name will return the full name of the employee, which is e5 that we have created here, and this string works on day represent this particular variable day, and is it a weekend or not. So now here we are using this static method. So what we are doing is we are calling the static method. How we are calling the static method? Class name dot the static method that we created was is weekend, and since as per the definition of the static method we have to pass a date to it, and it will return true or false depending whether the date is on weekend or not. So we are passing a date to it. Whatever date we are getting from this loop we are passing to it, and if I execute this, this is our output. So Kim John, that's the name of the employee, worked on this date. So today is 8th of 2nd of August. So is it a weekend? True. Kim Jong worked on yesterday. This represents the yesterday. 1st of August, is it a weekend? True, yes. And Kim also worked on 31st of July. Is it a weekend? False. So that was actually a Friday. So in this way, if you see, using the static method, we are able to apply the code on it and try, and we got the details like whether the date was a weekend or not. Now the point to notice, this static method that we created is it is not directly related with any instance or class, because we are not accessing any instance variables or class variables in it. We are just simply passing to it an argument and or a parameter to this particular method, just like any normal function, and using that value we are returning a value, true or false. So that is how we create a static method. So the point is, in the static method, it is not, we don't pass any class or the instance argument as a first argument to that particular method. Okay, that's it for now. Thank you.